Hello, everybody. Good evening. Happy Sunday to you. Thank you for coming and joining us on the church Facebook page. The Light Christian Spiritualist Church, Weymouth. Just turning my phone off. You don't want to hear me in stereo. Whatever you've been up to today. So for some of you that have been awake since the very early hours of the morning, celebrating the coming of the solstice, thank you for coming and extending your day by joining us. And for those people that have been celebrating Father's Day, observing their social distancing, popping in to see the important men in your life, then welcome. Thank you so much for coming and joining us this evening. It's my great delight to welcome Reverend Nick Brown to us. How are you getting on? Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. The journey to Weymouth from Cambridgeshire was so easy tonight. It was literally like walking up a set of stairs. It really was so easy to get to you. And yeah, it's really, really exciting to be working with you in Weymouth and doing something which isn't done very often and should be, frankly. We've discussed my feelings on philosophy and my absolute passion for it, and it frustrates me that it's not so much more prominent as it should be. So coming along to do this is a labor of love, and I'm very excited to see how it all pans out.
So am I. Thank you so much for coming. If anyone hasn't caught Reverend Nick doing his thing, we will put a link into your church. So at the end of this broadcast, we'll put a link over to your church. Their services are on a Thursday evening, so do go and check them out, doing some amazing work over there. Okay, hello to everybody that is joining. Hello to Linda Marie. Hello, lovely. Thank you for joining us. Paula Fryer, Tracy, Angie Page, Leslie Clark, oh my goodness, Jamie, Liz, Susan Brown, Margaret. It's so lovely to have you along with us. And everyone else who is here, who haven't kind of put a comment in the box, we thank you so much for coming and joining us. As ever, this is really interactive. So by all means, use the chat, use the box to say your hellos and to comment on what's being discussed, to say where you're from. We've got people from all over the country, in fact, all over the world, that come and listen to these broadcasts live on a Sunday evening and also on the replay. Really appreciate having you along. Okay, we are going to start our service by creating some sacred space, some holy space around us for this evening to unfold. And we do that by lighting our candle. And it seems very appropriate to do that this evening. So if you grab your candles, I put two little angels on my candle today because it's a special day and I thought it'd be nice to put some little angels on. So as you're lighting your candle, just really use your intention, use your energy and your thought and your intent into lighting your candle to create that space around you. And notice what happens to your energy and the energy in the room. Okay. Wonderful. Oh, it just feels like you create something very special when you light a candle in a church. So thank you.
Absolutely.
So friends, I'm going to hand over to Reverend Nick to open our service by doing an opening prayer to be followed by the Lord's Prayer.
Thank you. Well, friends, let's join together in love, in compassion and friendship as we reach out with our hearts and our minds and state as ever, Great Spirit, Father, Mother, God, as we join together tonight in this place, in this space, united in our distance, but also in our compassion and a desire to come together as one. We ask for your blessing to show that life is indeed eternal by the work that we do on you in your name. And we ask for love and strength and compassion to shine out into the world for all those who are in need of it, both those we know and those we do not know. And as always, for those who have no one to ask for them, we ask for them now as we place this service in your care and keeping, and make the statement as ever that everything we do will be in the name of love, in the name of truth, and in the name of light. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that lovely prayer. And it's such a treat for me to have somebody else to say the Lord's Prayer so that I can sit in that moment. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, friends, this is the part of the service that we dedicate to healing, a very important function, a very important integral heart function that we offer as spiritualists and as people who believe in the power of absent healing. And I know there's a couple of you that have already put names of loved ones and people who you would like to just bring into this prayer space. I won't read them out, but they are acknowledged. So thank you so much for everyone that's put names on the list. So friends, if I could ask you to go to that still quiet place as I read a healing prayer, and then I'll play some music so that you can have your own reflections and send your own thoughts to your nearest and dearest. And don't forget to remember yourself in that healing energy as well. We need to keep you fit and well as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, friends, if you occupy the space where you send your absent healing, just connect to that divine spark within you. I invite you to close your eyes. And we would like to ask today for ourselves and for people that we know. We ask that what is wounded in our lives is restored to good health, that we be receptive to the ways in which healing needs to happen, that we take good care of ourselves and each other, that we extend compassion to all that hurts within this world and within our bodies and our souls, that we are patient with the time that it takes to heal, that we are aware of the wonders of our body and the ability that they have to return us to good health, that we are open to receive kindness from those who extend care and compassion and support to us, that in times of need, we can rest peacefully under the sheltering wings of that divine love, trusting in that gracious presence. We ask that we find small moments of beauty and joy to sustain us during this time. We ask at this time for a special blessing of healing for all of the important men and father figures within our life, whether they are on the earth or in the heavenly realm. We would also ask for a blessing for all of those people who are not able to be with their loved ones on this significant day, and ask that they are held tenderly and in love. And we ask, as ever, that we keep joy and faith and hope alive in our hearts. Amen.
Amen.
And now just some music for you to listen to send your own thoughts out. Thank you, friends. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, crikey, there was some healing energy coming there. I'm really, really hot. Literally, just the power that's coming. That is quite incredible. Thank you so much. Okay, this is the part of the service, which is the bit I always look forward to the most, which is the philosophy and the address. And we're going to do something slightly different at the request of Reverend Nick, who I absolutely trust implicitly, who says that this is who says that this is quite a spectacle to behold when it works. And I'm absolutely have confidence in the spirit world that it will. So I'd like to invite, in a change to our normal programming, I'd like to invite Reverend Nick to commence with your philosophical address, to then be followed by the reading.
Thank you, Ashley. And I have to start by just saying, what a wonderful use of the software for healing. That was beautiful. And I'm sure that the influence that the sound and the sight during the healing has an impact massively on what people are doing. And I just think it's brilliant. I mean, you're singing praises to me, but and what we do up at Littleport, but that's just stunning. It really, really is. Oh. We might have to borrow it.
Absolutely.
But this is the thing. It's all about sharing and learning from those things. And as I was talking about, what's going on influencing, I'm very much reminded that there are two very important factors about what today is. And I'm not obviously referring simply to me coming to see you. I'm talking about Father's Day and the summer solstice. And the important thing to remember is that they might seem very separate focuses, but they're actually not. If we look at the history of faith, of praise, of religion, what they were doing was giving praise to the sun. And I'm very much reminded that what I'm about to say, I have actually said before. And I said it at my grandfather's funeral as a reading. And so it does begin to tie in with spirit already. The reason people gave praise to the sun as a godlike figure, if you think about what the sun is, it's this huge source of energy that's just in front of us and yet so far out of reach. It brings light and life and warmth and courage and strength and support to all of us. It's the thing that brings us out of the night. We talk about being all alone in the dark as much as we talk about being all alone in a crowd. But the sun is the first thing that says a new day is beginning, a new start, a new opportunity. And so they gave praise to this great big fiery ball of gas for that very reason. So it's easy to understand why they might thought it be the representation of the Great Spirit. And of course, it is, because God created everything. God created StreamYard through a few other people on his behalf, of course, but he created all of the wires and he created all of the possibilities. And this is the thing. The Great Spirit creates possibility. And I think this is one of the biggest issues that we potentially have in our earthly lives. And when talking of religion, one of the things that I quite often frequently get asked as a minister, as a medium, is, if there's such a thing as a God, why do bad things happen? And unfortunately, the answer isn't something that people always like. And even those of faith don't always like the answer that is the truth, because it's a hard pill to swallow. One of the greatest gifts that we have as a race, as a species, as an entity created of multiple fragments of spirit is free will. And we use that gift as a wonderful, wonderful thing to help, to guide, to give kindness and love and support. But it still has the opportunity to be abused. But it wouldn't be free will if that were not the case. And so the Great Spirit gives us this free will to create the world that we live in, to shape that world that we live in. And the Great Spirit gave us everything that we needed: air, light, the ability to figure things out, to understand. And I know that there are many who will say that, the knowledge of good and evil was the first mistake, but that was the choice, a physical, absolute choice that we as part of the Great Spirit made. And you see, the way my friends and helpers have always explained that to me is that when we come to this physical plane of existence, we decide as spirit people to be part of this grand project that the Great Spirit gave us. And that grand spirit is understanding, development, and growth, which still connects into what the sun does for us. It gives us growth, it gives us encouragement, it gives us that new beginning. And we chose to come here and grow because we are the universe made manifest, the Great Spirit living day in, day out, living our lives, seeking understanding for ourselves, and therefore helping God to understand itself. And the way I always explain that is, you think of a big jigsaw puzzle, and God is the picture on that jigsaw puzzle. And you can look at that picture and you can see that picture and you might pick up a few details and it looks very, very pretty and very, very lovely. But the only way to truly understand that picture, to really get to the nitty gritty, is to break it down into lots and lots and lots of pieces, like a jigsaw puzzle. We are those pieces of the puzzle, exploring our own details, working out how we fit in with each other and next to each other to create that great big whole. And so we are empowered by the world of spirit, by the Great Spirit, to be able to do this great project of understanding. And of course, the Great Spirit is perceived and described throughout history, throughout time immemorial, as the Father. Certainly in the Christian tradition, it's something you hear all the time, the Father. Now, one of the things as a spiritualist is I always reference the Father-Mother God. But it's Father's Day today, so we must focus on that particular part. Not that either are equal or unimportant against each other. All aspects of the Great Spirit are important. That's why every single individual is important. And because of that free will, we sometimes forget that the individual is as important as the whole, helping to understand each other, to find each other, to realize and uplift each other. But this great gift that the father figure gave us is strength, courage, and empowerment. And no more do you get a really good example of a good father figure than in the story of Jesus himself. If you look, his earthly father, or as I've seen written, is his legal father, Joseph. If you look at the life he lived and the path he took, he meets up with this lady, they fall in love, they get married, she's already pregnant. I'm not going to get into the semantics of whether it was spirit or whether it was something more earthly. I personally truly believe, from what I've been given, that it was an empowerment of the spirit that created the entity we know as Jesus. But even so, regardless of all of that, the important thing to remember is this guy in the Middle East 2,000 years ago married a woman who was pregnant. And even before he was visited by an angel, he decided to do a kindly thing by her and divorce her in secret. What stopped him was an emissary of the universe. An angel came and said, don't worry, he's a good kid. You'll be a good bloke and look after him for us. He is a creation of the universe. And he took that on face value and became a father figure to this young boy growing up. And there was always going to be rumors and gossip and comments. I mean, we like to think that we've grown and developed, but 250,000 years of human evolution quite often is still something that happened to everybody else in certain quarters, and it's unfortunate, but that's part of the big picture. So you got this guy who's taken on a father role, and it's important to remember that a father figure is equally important as an actual physical father, and sometimes even more so, because someone who takes on that role without any genetic connection is a true gift. And, you know, I see so many people rolling out a picture of their mum on Father's Day who haven't, unfortunately, got a physical father on the earth plane with us. This is my mum and my dad. And, you know, that compassion, that strength and that courage that we get from this figure is vital, because what they do is they are the one who empowers us to go forward, just like the world of spirit. And on days like this, I do get a little bit frustrated with myself, because there's things I want to say that I don't get the opportunity. You, young lady, have given me the chance to, so thank you. Because people say, I haven't got a dad. And as a spiritualist, we just want to scream, yes, you have. They're here. They're behind you. He's taking the mick out of you. He's pulling your ears like he always used to. I can see him doing it, but you can't always do that. It depends on the appropriateness of the situation. Believe it or not, I do consider appropriateness of the situation from time to time. It doesn't happen very often, but hey. But the importance of having this figure encouraging you forward, growing you forward, but at the same time, continuing that work that they begin. For example, Joseph taught Jesus to be a carpenter. And I am sure, quite confidently sure, that the lessons that he learned on how to put pieces of wood together and make them last for a long time would have been principles that he applied to his spiritual teachings and help to other people. But when you combine all of this, what is the key lesson of today? It really is about understanding that we are all equally part of some great big cosmic game plan, development and growth. But at the core of it all is personal responsibility and taking charge of our lives, taking charge of our situations, and supporting each other and being there for one another. I was given a story by my friends and helpers a number of years ago. It's so long ago I can't remember. I always remember the story, and I'd like to share it with everyone. It's not going to be as well worded as perhaps Spirit wrote it for me, but I will let everybody have the general gist. Because another thing that we must know is that when it comes to developing and moving forward, one of our jobs of a parental father figure is to translate the world for us. And that means we all have very, very good father figures and parental figures in the world of spirit looking after us, because that's what our guides and helpers do. They translate the spirit world for us. And it's our jobs as mediums to translate that into down-to-earth English or French or German or wherever we live, but down-to-earth language that everybody can understand. Because one of my frustrations is that people like to use fancy words and big words that not everybody will always understand, and that excludes people. And we can't. We are one race at the end of the day, and as much as our individuality matters, so does this connection. So making spirit reachable for everyone is what matters. And Jesus did that with parables. You know, he told stories that described scripture so that everybody could understand it. I always say that if the second coming happened today, he'd have 6 weeks on some celebrity get me out of here. He'd have a couple of interviews on This Morning, but he would use memes. And that's the important thing, because it's a picture that tells 1,000 words and a really simple bang, bang message. And, you know, as much as people look at me in sheer shock and horror that I suggest such a thing, people who give advancement to the word of spirit, adapt with the time,
Mm.
grow with the time, and fit in. You and many other spiritualist churches are an example of that lesson. By we are in the situation we are in, what can we do about it? What can we use to make that better and get through it? So coming online for your services was a natural and an instant decision, because it made sense. You know, everyone is at least able to ask to borrow a tablet or a laptop to have a look at something if they don't have it themselves.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, Nick, you're starting to go off beaten track now. You're rambling, you're ranting, you know, because no, I imagine she's down there somewhere in the chat. My mother is the one that usually throws something at the congregation.
Mum is here. Hello.
Mum is, hello, Mum. She would usually throw something at me from the congregation to say, Nick, you're rambling, get on with it. And I said, oh, am I rambling? And they said, well, no, think about the story you're about to tell. And it's the story of the disparaged architect. So once long ago, there was an architect, a builder, a creator, who decided that he would build a wonderfully beautiful block of flats. He built it so big that everyone in the town could live there free of charge, no extra cost. And he designed it so that everything that they would ever need was available. It had a beautiful garden, it had electricity, it had light, it had heat, it had warmth. The beautiful garden was also divided from pretty stuff to foodstuffs, so that there was always produce available, there was always food available. He built it on a flowing river that was a beautiful river, so there was always water available. He even had the idea of having it south facing so that it was very sunny all throughout the day, because he was clever like that. And so he built this block of flats and he invited everyone of the town to move in free of charge. And he said, all I ask of you is that you look after each other and look after what I've built for you. That's the only fee I'm asking. And they all said, yes, fine, okay, we'll go and live there, we'll look after that. So there's this lovely person, being, entity, hint that's built this wonderful place for us all to live. He's given us everything we need and then said, there you go, get on with it. Time rolls by, generations pass. They start to forget to tend the garden. They start to forget to look after the water pipes where the river inlet comes up and feeds all of them the water. The windows don't get cleaned. It falls into disrepair. And it starts to get a bit messy, frankly. And then they start bickering and moaning amongst themselves as to how he would have wanted them to look after it and how he would have wanted them to make those changes and make it improved. And so everything started to fall apart. So he said, right, okay, one last chance. I'm going to send you a caretaker. I'm going to send you it's the family business, you see. So I'm going to send you my son. He knows the family business. He knows my idea behind what we've built here. In an actual fact, in his early life, he trained as a carpenter, so he can fix a few of the broken furniture. And he sent his son to caretake and bring things back into the direction they needed to go. And so he did this, and he was so proud of what he did and so proud of the example that he set for those people who lived in that building that he promoted him, and he took him back into the family business and made him his deputy. And in the CEO's office, he's got this big old chair behind a big old table, and there's a tiny little one just by his knee. And the son sat on that and did the minutes. Of course, we know what that story means. We know what that's about. It's the story of us, our life here. And although we have had our chances and our guidance and our direction, we still sometimes get distracted from the path. And that's unfortunate, but it is very, very human. But if we remember those lessons that we've learned, we remember the importance of what we've got and how to make good use of it, and realize that we are stronger together. And that lesson, that ever important lesson, that we have been given everything we need, not necessarily what we want, and been told by that parental figure, go on, there you go. Then we can always make that change. We can always fix that leaky pipe. We can always replant those vegetables, and we can always wipe that window clean so that the sun coming up over the morning sky will shine its light into us. And on that note, I will say God bless you and thank you for listening.
Oh, wonderful. Do you know what? I was so hooked in with that story. I love the way you tell stories, because you just make it come alive and simplify it. As you say, you just make everything so accessible.
Thank you.
I want to know what happens to the people in the flat. I want to know, do they turn it round? Do they call in DIY?
Well, of course.
They've got a dad as good as my dad, can fix most things.
Well, of course, after the assistant, the caretaker got promoted, he did keep tabs on them from time to time. But as with humans, they still tended to go off in their own directions a little bit. But as far as how that story ends, that's for us to decide.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness, you're getting so much love. We're gonna have to have you back again. And so much love for this story. Everyone's really, really enjoying it. Phil Shaw makes a lovely comment. He said, if don't want to upset anyone, but if all sermons were as interesting and thought-provoking as this, they would encourage much larger congregations.
Bless you, Phil.
Yeah, really, really lovely. Everyone's absolutely loving your address. And you said the magic would happen. And you know what? As soon as you opened your mouth and you started talking, I felt spirit come in, and I was like, this is the magic that you were talking about. So the book that I've picked for the reading, oops, there we go, is book Sunrise. And you will never guess. And I was saying to Reverend Nick before we came on that Spirit would give me a really hard time today to pick a reading. And everything I picked up, they said, yeah, it's good, but it's not right. It's not what we want. This is not your will. It's my will. And so the reading that I've picked, I'll read it out to you. For perfect reception to Spirit, you must have a stillness of mind and silence, not only on the outer plane, but deep, deep within the inner world, the inner peace. Beyond all conflicting vibrations is the silence, and that silence is God. And God is behind all form, all activity, and all manifestation. This center of light within your own being is not confined to you alone, for it unfolds and reaches out as the spark of you touches the universal. For then you will become known to those radiant beings in the spirit world who you know and love. And then it goes on to say, the place of communion is the temple within your own being, that of which the Master Jesus spoke, and which all masters through all ages have taught their pupils to seek. The Holy Grail is within your own heart. Pursue your own path joyfully and patiently, and you will reach your goal and know the joy of life, and the mists will clear and happiness will be your crown.
Oh, wonderful. That's brilliant. And I think it's important I explain why we did this, because we was talking about philosophy, and we are both, huge philosophy buffs, and philosophy gets a bit of a bad rap. People aren't interested in it, so we don't. Cut it short, keep it under a certain amount of time, all that. And philosophy is what makes us different to other uses of mediumship. And people tend to forget that philosophy is a form of mediumship, because it is the great spirit and the higher guides feeding down to our guides who work together with us to feed that lesson of love and compassion and upliftment to help us grow. And if you look within any philosophy, you will always find something for yourself, a message from spirit for yourself. And so we decided to test the spirits, as we discussed at the beginning. And we said, well, if we pick the reading and then the medium takes the reading and uses that to create the philosophy, that's brilliant. It's the will of spirit. But let's prove it's the will of spirit by doing it with the shins back to front. Give the philosophy and then have it confirmed. And there are certain specific phrases that you will find in the reading that not only reflect, but in some cases absolutely quote what spirit have given the medium to do. So I love doing it that way. It's always a little bit nerve-wracking. I think any medium who says that they are not a little bit nervous of, messing it up, because we are human, we interfere, they're fibbing. Always be joyous of that nervousness, because that's what keeps you checking yourself and doing the best you can. But testing the spirits is the most important thing for any form of mediumship. And the two that get the biggest kick is healing and philosophy. And so God bless the work that you are doing, and may that sunrise forever shine upon your dawn here in Weymouth. And of course, what we could say, of course, is that as that lovely building was built at by a lovely mass of water, what a perfect place would Weymouth be? To have that wonderful building, a building created by God. And then you're talking about temples. I just love the way spirit do it. We always, me and my teacher Lynn, we always have this saying between us: how do they do that? And then we just look at each other and say, well, of course they can, and it's not for us to know, but it's really fun to find out. And I'm so passionate, and I know you are, about the philosophy. It is a true gift from spirit, and we should never lose that focus, and occasionally test them, just to prove that survival and that continuity of the messages coming through. So that's why we do it, and it's fun too.
Yeah, it really is. And you're so joyful with it. Do you know what? This really has felt so joyful and so experimental, and the energy must be alive and tangible and relevant and all of those things, and some people have commented that, where is it, Jamie's put a lovely point. He says, once you've accepted that life is eternal, then philosophy is the next natural step. It's the cherry on top of the cake, and actually we have that in this understanding. We have that bedrock that life is eternal, and then all else becomes opportunities to learn and grow.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness, the massive reaction. Vanda's loving your philosophy and the backbone of our religion.
Quite right.
Brilliant point, Vanda. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, this has been discussed loads of times this very weekend. It's interesting when we get on all this kind of solstice energy, and people start thinking and contemplating.
In actual fact, I think spirit are still obviously on fire, connecting me and Vanda, because as people will probably not know, I don't see these comments until you flash them up the same for everybody else. So I think we were talking about that a minute ago, that everyone gets an answer through and it's absolutely true. It really, really is. It's a message that touches everybody rather than one specific person. That's a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Isn't it just? Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know what you've got planned for the rest of the night, Nick, but I think probably you're going to be here for the rest of the evening, because spirit definitely feel like they are very, very present, and with all of us that are here in this space with us now, and all of the people who will be watching this on replay, and all of the other ripples within ripples within ripples of your beautiful address this evening that will be touched by it. Thank you so much for your work here this evening.
And I'll tell you what I'll do as well, because I have got the words typed out by spirit, so I will send you a copy of The Disparaged Architect to share with on your page.
Lovely. That's so kind. Thank you. Oh my goodness, the gifts will keep rolling. We will put a link to Reverend Nick's own church Facebook page, so you can go and see all of the stuff that he's doing with all of his congregation and ministers over in his part of the world. So go and check him out on a Thursday evening, as well as the link to the reading. Thank you so much. Lovely. Okay. I don't really want to do this, but this is the part of the service where we'd like to invite you to close the service in a closing prayer. Just to give a quick notice, our medium for next Sunday is the lovely Ashley Robinson, who hails from kind of Wimbledon Way. So do come and join us for that, 6:15 UK time on a Sunday evening, live on the Facebook page. Do come and join us for that. Lovely, lovely medium. Again, picking people who just love the philosophy, because that's the thing that is really needed at the moment. And I know that Ashley is a really, really big fan of the philosophy as well. Fantastic. Super. Reverend Nick, over to you. Thank you so much for closing our service this evening.
No problem. Friends, let's join together as we recognize that although this service may be coming to an end, but just as the sun sets, we know that after a short time it will rise again and bring light and hope to everybody. For we know that the word of spirit is indeed eternal, and that connection we have with each other and with the realms of light and love will continue to sustain us, support us, uplift us, give us guidance and strength throughout our daily lives. On this day, we recognize that some may feel that they have lost, and we know we miss the physical, but Great Spirit, help us to understand that the best part of us continues. The soul, the heart, the personality. And although we may miss squeezing onto that physical being, the part that we love the most is able to shine and wrap around us each day, especially on days of significance where those are in our minds, and we know that as soon as we think of them, they are but a thought away and come to give us that spiritual hug. So we thank you for this gift of eternity. We thank you for this gift of love and compassion and hope. And as I place this service, Great Spirit, into your care and keeping, and the words that have been said, committed to the universe, I ask for a blessing to be placed on each person here present, those who will watch in the future, and those will hear of the words that come from Weymouth, that this blessing wrap on each person, wrap around and enfold, uplift, encourage and strengthen, and keep us all safe until, please God, we meet again, which will as ever and always be in your name, which is love of truth and in light. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy. It's been an absolute joy. And I hope everybody that is watching this feels the joy as well and the upliftment of listening to Nick's words. Beautiful work. Thank you for everybody that's joined this evening. It really does. I know I say this every week, but it really is very humbling and very overwhelming just to have so much support and love and messages during the week of just how important keeping the lights on for spirit while we're in these really tricky times is. It really does make all of it worthwhile. So thank you so much everyone that supports the church. And until we can be together again, have a safe week, and we will see you next Sunday, friends. Stay well and stay safe. Much love to you all. Cheerio. Bye.
God bless everyone.
Bye.